Hey, welcome to another video of the week. It is Friday, September 30th, 2016. I'm David Wells with ProAudioEXP, and we're going to kind of take a step back over the next few weeks and really discuss what is sound. I mean, once we get into all of the tools and the tricks and things like that, if we take a step back, we've really got to understand what the nature of sound is. And at its basis, sound is nothing more than fluctuations in air pressure. If there was nobody around to perceive sound, then it would just be air pressure, changes of air pressure. It doesn't sound like it would sell many records, right? When you think about it, sound comes down to amplitude measured in dB. It comes down to frequencies measured in hertz and kilohertz. And then it also comes down to frequency content in terms of how much overtones there are. You might call it timbre, timbre, or timbre, or whatever you call it. They are the three things about sound, and we'll get into that in the next few weeks. Next week we'll get into amplitude specifically. But when you think about it, the sound of what is the sound of an instrument? An instrument just produces changes in air pressure from, let's imagine just a classical guitar in a hard tiled room. So you have the sound of the gut string moving back and forth. You also have the sound of the wood interacting and being resonant in certain frequencies. You have the sound of the room, then you have the sound of the microphone, and then you have the sound of any minor distortion or overdrive in the mic preamp that starts throwing off some of the harmonics. Then of course you have all the processing and effects that you'll have in the recording and mixing process. Then the sound of the monitors coming back, and each one of those parts really changes one of those, one or all of those in terms of volume, amplitude, and the frequencies, and also how broad and how rich that frequency content is. It's very interesting when you go from simple waveforms like just a sine wave, which is a pure tone. There's no overtones at all. If you hit a 1K sine, that's just it. There's nothing above that, nothing below that. But as you start to distort that or warm that up through some tubes or a mic preamp or anything like that, then you start to add some of these overtones, and there's a ton of math involved, which is really exciting. And why it's exciting is that the more I get into this stuff, the more I go, how did this come to be? That there's perfect math. Like, where did this math come from that is all around us? We'll get into it in the next few weeks. Next week we'll get into, like I said, amplitude, then a frequency, and then a timbral content as well. So just think about that. Everything that we hear, the business end of it is what happens right here, and then also the interactivity between our ear and our brain and how we perceive all of that. I've often thought about light, and when you think about a rose is anything but red. It actually absorbs everything, but it spits off, it reflects that red. So we perceive a red rose as red, but in reality it's actually everything but red. There's a lot of things, kind of analogies to that in sound. What is the sound of an instrument? Well, it's the sound of all that signal chain. We'll get into it next week. So hope you're excited about it. I'm excited about it. And I'll see you next week. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.